are embarrassing yourself and your family. You embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself.
That's T.I. with his own son in a headlock, caught on camera at an NFL game, broadcast live for everybody to see. But that's only the surface, because the real storm started with 50 Cent. The beef he sparked with 50 got so nasty, so personal, that what Tip did next left the whole culture stunned. The rap game is on fire right now, and nobody saw this explosion coming. What started as a Verzuz-style call-out between two certified legends turned into one of the grimiest, most disrespectful clashes hip-hop has seen in years. Moms getting mentioned, wives getting posted, sons pulled into the chaos, reputations getting shredded in group chats like it's nothing. Then, just when it looked like both of them were ready to take this feud to the grave, T.I. did the one move nobody expected. He reached out. He apologized. But slow down, we're not jumping there yet. The road to that apology is packed with diss tracks, deleted posts, family tension, and moments so reckless even seasoned rap vets had to wince. And if you think this drama ends with 50 Cent, think again. There's a whole other chapter involving T.Y.'s own son, King Harris, and a hands-on moment caught on camera that the internet still won't stop replaying. This smoke didn't start overnight. It traces back to the early 2000s when T.I. was running Atlanta, Bankhead on his back, while 50 Cent was holding down South Jamaica, Queens. Two heavyweights, two coasts, one collision course. Both of them had real street credentials, not something cooked up in a studio for image points. For years, it looked like mutual respect. They crossed paths at award shows, festivals, industry events. No open drama. But under that calm surface, tension was simmering like a pot ready to explode. That's what happens when two alphas claim the same jungle. Each one sees himself as the king. Neither man was built to stand in the background. In an industry where rank gets checked daily, sales, features, influence, the silent question of who outranks who was always hanging in the air like a storm cloud waiting to crack. Then came the Verzuz era, when the culture was begging for legendary face-offs. T.I. said during a promo run in Los Angeles, he and 50 Cent made a private agreement. The plan was simple. Tip would issue the public challenge, 50 would accept, and the fans would get a historic showdown. Two catalogs packed with anthems, going hit for hit on a stage built for lyrical warfare. But when it was time for 50 to stand on that word, Tip claims the line went dead. No response, no acceptance, just silence. And in this game, when a man you expected to stand solid beside you disappears, that's not just disappointment, that's a straight code breach. By February 6th and 7th, 2026, T.I. had enough. He pulled up to the Nightcap podcast with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, and he didn't tiptoe around it. What he said wasn't subtle. It was a full-on call-out. You could hear it in his tone.
I wanted 50. That's what I said. He don't want no smoke, though.
Oh, Lord.
I called my man out. He don't want no smoke. He ducking smoke.
This wasn't random energy. This was built-up frustration finally spilling out for the world to hear. That clip flooded every timeline within hours. Tip wasn't whispering behind the scenes. He was on a nationally watched podcast telling the world that Curtis Jackson was ducking the fade. And if you know 50 Cent, you know public disrespect never gets ignored. It gets handled. 50 fired back fast on Instagram, posting clips from Tip's old court appearances and dropping a PSA-style meme saying, "Forget Verzuz. Let's do the stay away challenge and keep our distance." He even tossed a LOL on it because that's his strategy. Turn you into a punchline before the first bar even drops. But Tip didn't find it funny. Not at all. By February 11th, 50 cranked the pressure up, calling T.I. King Rat on Instagram, dragging up those old snitching allegations tied to the 2007 federal firearms case. In hip-hop, that label hits heavy. It sticks no matter how many plaques line your wall. T.I. came back heated, making it clear only one of them deserved that title, and claiming he had paperwork to back it up. He told 50 to lace up the gloves or stay quiet and move scared. The back and forth online had people entertained, but everyone knew the real shots would land on wax. And Tip delivered. On February 22nd, he pulled up to $1 million worth of game and broke down the whole alleged betrayal, how they talked, how they agreed, and how once he went public, 50 acted clueless. That's when this feud went from social media jokes to something way more personal. In Tip's eyes, it was like the conversation never even happened. That wasn't just ducking smoke. That was a flaw in character. Then on February 23rd, he dropped a diss snippet called War. making his intentions crystal clear. And he still wasn't finished. That same day, he released the full track, The Right One, and it went places most diss records won't even step near. The bars hit hard. I wasn't just questioning 50's toughness. He was dismantling the persona that made Curtis Jackson famous. He painted him as a meme page boss, a troll hiding behind a screen instead of standing in the field. Then came the most controversial line. Tip mentioned 50 Cent's late mother, crossing a boundary many in hip-hop consider off-limits. The internet split instantly. Some praised Tip for going toe-to-toe with one of rap's sharpest strategists. Others said he went too far by bringing a deceased parent into it. But if Tip's track was the quake, 50's response was the aftershock that shook everything. He posted an unflattering photo of Tiny on Instagram with a caption warning Tip to keep his name out their mouths. One post, that's all it took. Now an innocent spouse was pulled into the chaos, breaking the unwritten rule that families stay out of beef. That's when it got real personal. King Harris, son of T.Y. and Tiny, jumped on Instagram Live, voice shaking with emotion. He made it clear. Coming at his mom was a line you don't cross. The anger was raw, and the whole internet could feel it.
I'm not raised like that.
Then it went somewhere nobody expected. King fired back saying, so tell your mama, dig her up and post a picture that looked better than mama. Mama. That line exploded online.
So tell your mama, dig her up and post a picture that looked better than mama.
A teenage son telling a billionaire mogul to dig up his late mother for a side-by-side. It was brutal. No filter, no pause. That's when everyone realized this wasn't just rap drama anymore. This was personal pain spilling out in public, and King didn't ease up. He doubled down with real emotion, making it clear this wasn't for attention. This was a son defending the woman who raised him, no matter the fallout. You could hear it in his voice, anger mixed with hurt.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama, go dig her up.
This wasn't a crafted lyric, it was raw reaction.
Post a picture of your mama. She pay respect. Stop playing with my mama.
50 answered the only way he usually does, memes. He posted an image comparing King to Pepe the Frog and mocked the whole family's looks, flipping a heated family moment into internet jokes. What was emotional turned into content in seconds. Then things widened. Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mother, publicly defended Tiny, pulling even more cultural weight into the situation. Now, this wasn't just two rappers trading shots, it had elders and industry figures stepping in. At that point, the internet was tense, watching closely, wondering if this would stay online or spill into real life. The pressure felt heavy, but by February 24th, 50 shifted gears, moving like a boss in another lane while Tip was still swinging. And that twist changed the energy again. Then 50 switched the whole vibe. He jumped on social media to announce he'd just sold out a Broadway run of Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Posted it with a shocked face emoji like, while you're in the booth dropping tracks nobody asked for, I'm selling out theaters you can't even get into. That's a different level of flex. No diss record, no yelling, just receipts. Think about that. Tip poured everything into those tracks, sharp bars, heavy shots, even crossing sensitive lines. And 50's reply wasn't music, it was a Broadway sellout post. That move flipped the battlefield. Now, it wasn't about lyrics anymore. It was about relevance in 2026. Who's really moving the culture right now? That question hit different. King Harris kept riding for his dad, calling out 50's history of beefs with Lil' Kim, Kanye, and others. He painted him as someone who sparks drama for sport, turning his platform into a spotlight for whoever he wants to clown that week. That narrative started picking up steam online. Then February 25th, 2026 came and everything changed. No speech, no warning, no slick caption. 50 erased every single post about T.I. off his Instagram. Every meme, every jab, gone, scrubbed like it never happened. The internet went detective mode instantly. Was that a white flag? A reset? Lawyers involved? Or something happening behind the scenes nobody could see? Because one thing people know, 50 Cent doesn't just back down for nothing. This is the same man who went to war with Ja Rule, Rick Ross, Floyd Mayweather, and smiled through every round. His brand is built on pressure, not retreat. So when he suddenly erased every trace of a beef he was just fueling hours earlier, that shocked the culture. In today's rap warfare, that kind of move is rare. Now here's the twist that changes everything. Sources close to both sides say, I made a move nobody predicted. After days of ruthless shots, tracks mentioning mothers, wives, even kids, memes turning men into punchlines, Tip reportedly reached out directly. Not through Instagram, not through blogs, no middlemen, straight phone call. And the tone? Completely different from the guy yelling about smoke and war. The word that keeps popping up from people familiar with the call is apology. Not some weak, reputation-destroying surrender. Nothing like that. More like a calculated, grown man acknowledgement that things went too far, that lines were crossed on both ends, that dragging mothers, living or deceased, into a clash between two veterans with decades of legacy was beneath them. T.I. had already made it clear during the feud that his respect for 50 was gone. He said openly he didn't want to share a stage with him, but there's a difference between losing respect and wanting total destruction. There's a line between proving a point and letting a war spiral out of control. And according to those whispers behind the scenes, Tip decided that line had been crossed, and it was time to pull it back before the damage got permanent. I, as a man who's maneuvered through federal cases, served time, and rebuilt his career more than once. So if anyone understands consequences, it's him. Word is, he realized this fire wasn't just about 50's image anymore. It was about his own house. King, Tiny, every relative and close associate caught in the blast radius. And for someone who prides himself on protecting his circle, that math hits different. If this account is accurate, the timing makes sense. 50 wipes his page clean right after Tip reportedly reaches out. Think about it. If the same man who's been firing at you for weeks suddenly extends an olive branch, you don't answer with another meme. You clear the board. You reset the energy. You make space for whatever's next. Peace, business, or just silence. And that silence, it's loud. Since February 25th, not a single public shot from either side. No memes, no slick captions, nothing. For two heavy posters who were going at it daily, that quiet speaks volumes. Still, skeptics aren't buying it. T.I.'s final album, Kill the King, is on the way. Some fans believe this whole saga, from the Verzuz challenge to the diss tracks to the reported apology, could be a calculated rollout. The timing raised eyebrows. The moment Tip announces his last album, suddenly a headline-grabbing clash with 50 appears out of nowhere. And let's be honest, the music industry has a long history of dramatic coincidences boosting attention. Manufactured tension isn't new. Plus, T.I. is strategic. He understands headlines, algorithms, and how fast controversy pulls eyeballs. So the big question hangs in the air. Was this personal fallout or precision marketing? T.I. has been in this game long enough to understand how the machine works. Every headline, every trending topic, every heated comment section turns into free promotion for an album that hasn't even dropped yet. That's just facts. But strategy or not, the apology reportedly happened, and that means something. Because in this culture, you rarely see someone who's winning the public back and forth choose to step away instead of pushing it over the edge. The Black Wall Street Times noted the feud had turned deeply personal by February 20th. And history shows when rap beef gets that personal, it doesn't always end with handshakes. Sometimes it ends in something much darker. If Tip really chose conversation over escalation, that might be the boldest move in this whole saga. It takes more strength to cool a fire than to keep pouring gasoline on it. But the 50 Cent situation isn't the only time T.I. faced drama that went public and physical. 2 years before the Verzuz tension, before the diss tracks, memes, and deleted posts, there was another moment. One caught on camera. One that had nothing to do with rival rappers and everything to do with family. November 26, 2023. Atlanta Falcons versus Saints. What was supposed to be a relaxed family day turned into something the internet still talks about. Because this wasn't about charts or clout. It was about a father and his son. And that's a different kind of pressure. Any man can tell you the toughest relationship to navigate isn't with enemies. It's with your own child. Especially when that young man is trying hard to prove he's already grown.
Have you ever woke up with a roach on your face?
No, that's not the goal.
All right, then. So there it goes.
Earlier that day, Tip was posting like any proud dad, hyping the game, showing love to his kids. Everything looked normal, calm, solid. But sometimes, behind those smiles, tension is already building, and it only takes one moment for it to spill out. It looked like a regular Sunday in Atlanta, a famous family in a luxury suite at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Falcons game vibes, cameras flashing. Then King Harris hit Instagram Live from inside the suite and everything shifted.
I want to go to the bando in my neighborhood.
What viewers saw was a father-son argument that escalated fast. Words turned physical in seconds. The camera caught it all. Maybe it wasn't supposed to, or maybe King chose to let it be seen. Because once you go live, there's no rewind button. That moment stamped the public's view of their relationship instantly.
Y'all want to go to the bando? Do y'all want to go to the bando? To make him look better.
Tip started pressing a point that cuts deep between generations. A self-made man versus a son raised in comfort. On camera, in front of everyone watching, he questioned whether King had ever truly experienced the struggle that shaped him. The infamous Roach question wasn't random. It was a challenge, a test of the tough image King had been projecting. Tip's message was blunt. Surviving harsh conditions and talking about them are not the same thing. Visiting the trenches for image points doesn't equal living through it. And living through it doesn't come with bragging rights. It comes with scars. From Tip's perspective, King's hard persona looked like costume play. But for a young man trying to step out of his father's shadow, that public critique hit hard. No son wants to be checked like that in front of thousands of viewers. That tension, legacy versus independence, protection versus pride, lit the fuse. And once pride gets involved, especially on live video, things can spiral fast.
I know you. I know you. I know you.
Ain't no mystery about
I know you though. I know you.
This wasn't just a disagreement. It was identity, ego, and family history colliding in real time. What happened next in that Falcon suite is the type of moment that shows how family clashes hit different in the social media era. One tap, and a private argument turns into public debate.
Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me. You know I stand on.
King Harris didn't fold. He didn't nod, stay quiet, and play the respectful son under bright lights. He pushed back with force. The energy said this wasn't their first time circling this same issue. The real question hanging in the air, is King his own man, or is he living inside a fortress built by his father's success? The silver spoon talk, the Nepo baby label, the idea that everything he has was handed to him. Those words cut deeper than any rap diss, because they came from his dad. You could hear it in King's voice. I know you don't. The emotion was louder than the logic. He wasn't building a clean argument. He was repeating himself, tripping over words, trying to keep up with feelings rushing out faster than he could control. That's not weakness. That's pressure. He knows his father survived things he hasn't. That's real. But he also believes he knows who he is. And when the person you want respect from the most questions your identity in front of thousands watching live, that weight hits heavy. Then came the phrase that defined the whole moment. I stand on business. That became King's rally cry. His way of saying he's not soft, not sheltered, not pretending. He was drawing a line in real time, telling both his father and the world that he sees himself as solid. But when pride, legacy, and public pressure mix together, emotions can explode fast. And in that suite, under stadium lights and phone cameras, a family disagreement turned into a viral symbol of a bigger struggle between experience and expectation, protection and independence. Every young man hits that moment when he looks his father in the eye and says, I'm my own man. King was doing exactly that, just with the whole internet watching and screens recording in real time. The argument shifted from words to contact after a shove, and suddenly T.I. had his son in a headlock. It was a split-second move, part instinct, part frustration. The kind of grip a father uses when talking isn't working and emotions are boiling over.
He capping. He capping. Hey. He know I stand on business. He know that. Ain't no ever pulled my car ever in life.
It lasted seconds, but those seconds traveled everywhere. Millions saw it. Tip wasn't trying to injure his son. He looked like he was trying to restrain him, to stop the moment from spiraling further.
I stand on business. You drop me somewhere, I stand on business. You drop me in your hood, I stand on business.
But visuals don't explain intentions. And the visuals were rough. A Grammy-winning artist, a man who's faced federal charges and rebuilt his life, grappling with his own child in a luxury NFL suite while cameras rolled. That image hit hard. Tiny stepped in fast, separating them before it escalated. Then came that heavy silence, the kind that fills a room after something explodes. Afterward, King took to Instagram stories, posting messages full of hurt and defiance. He said nobody could press him, and even questioned how his family saw him. Those posts disappeared quickly, but not before screenshots spread across blogs and forums like wildfire. T.I.'s public response stayed controlled. He told people to mind their business. He made it clear this was family, not entertainment. Outside voices didn't get a vote. Still, once something like that hits the internet, it doesn't fade quietly. It becomes a talking point, a symbol, a debate about parenting, pride, and pressure, all playing out under stadium lights and smartphone screens. And this wasn't even the first clash. Reports pointed to an earlier incident at a Waffle House in 2022, hinting this tension had been building for a while. A cycle. Same core issue every time. King's hunger for independence versus Tip's instinct to control and protect. And that kind of clash doesn't get solved in one talk. Even after that headlock moment went viral, King didn't retreat. He stayed vocal, still defending his image, still rejecting any label that painted him as soft or manufactured. That persistence said everything about his mindset. This wasn't just about proving he was tough. It was about claiming ownership of his identity. He wasn't trying to be a copy of his father. He was fighting to define himself on his own terms, without constantly being measured against a blueprint drawn from a past he never lived. That push and pull, it's bigger than fame, bigger than money. It's the universal tension between a father who climbed out of struggle and a son born into comfort. Different starting points, same last name. But here's where the energy shifted. Within days, reconciliation started peeking through. Tip publicly reaffirmed his love for King, saying they were tied together like a knot and that he'd ride to the heavens or the depths for his family. That's not industry talk, that's father talk. He even promoted King's music, highlighting father-like sons with his brother Damani, showing the bond was bruised, but not broken. By 2025, King reflected publicly, calling himself the man his father raised him to be and saying they were finally seeing eye to eye. That Falcons game moment, as messy as it looked, may have been a turning point instead of a breaking point. If you made it this far, tap that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this growth, strategy, or both? Let's talk about it.